Good morning. We are working with the theme of play this month. And really, what we're doing here every month in Nowhere Village, in a sense, is we're playing a game. I play this game where I choose a theme that feels really important to spiritual practice and to living a healthy life in general. I choose something that to me just instinctively and intuitively feels important and relevant, and often something that feels particularly relevant for me where I am currently. And then I ask myself a bunch of questions about this theme. The theme this month is play, right? And so I've been doing all this reflecting as I've been preparing to enter into March. And then now that we're here, I've been asking these questions in this kind of playful spirit. Um, what is play? Why is it so important? How does it work? What does it have to do with our meditation practice? And I ask these questions of myself. That's how I prepare for the guided meditations and the talks that I give. And the talk that I'm about to give is just my reflections on all of this. And you get to play. You get to play too, and that's actually really important. Um, I'll send you guys the inquiry questions. I'll start guiding these meditations. Have you also sort of ruminating on these things? And obviously, if you want to be more engaged in your play, you could post something. You could come in live and ask a question, or post a comment. And you could in various ways sort of offer to the group and or me your own reflections. And as I've been preparing for this particular talk, I've been thinking about how much, without being totally conscious of it, I have designed my work around my reverence for play. I have woven play into the way that I run Nora Village and really the way that I do everything in my life. And asking questions in the spirit of play, um, this is different than asking ourselves questions rhetorically, right? Or to prove a point. There's a time for that. I I got into a heated discussion the other night with somebody around something, and I wasn't asking inquiry questions. Right? Inquiry to me, spiritual inquiry, that seeking is really asking questions as if you might be surprised by an answer. But in this case, I wanted to win the argument. So, well, and also to kind of take this person to a place where they could see that there was a limit to their own arguments that they were making. And I was kind of trying to corner them a little, get them to a place where they went, "Oh wait, my way of looking at this has got me to a wall," right? Anyway, that's a game in its own way too. But I guess what I'm saying is that play is vital for spiritual inquiry, meaning that we don't know yet how this is going to turn out. If if I'm playing a game and I've rigged it so that I'm going to win, we're not really playing a game. I'm just sort of, you're all being kind of invited into a manipulation of mine. But playing means we don't know exactly what's going to happen, that there's this space for the unknown. And the point of inquiry, of spiritual inquiry as I see it, and really I see what we do here in Nowhere Village in essence to be doing spiritual inquiry and meditation together. Um, and that all these other practices are sort of supporting that, you know? But to me, doing spiritual inquiry, the point of it is that we will uncover answers that are really relevant and important and true, but that we didn't know yet. And one way of saying this is where we are tapping into the unconscious or the subconscious or the sort of pre-conscious wisdom that we already have, that already exists. Because what we're looking for is those insights that feel like aha moments. They feel like revelation. They feel like a curtain being pulled back. It's not that something new was built and created, and here's my new truth I manufactured, but instead, here's a truth that life already had sitting here. And I have done this work, this playful work to uncover it, which involves getting out of my more um, rigid, constructed, consciously kind of held on to reality. It means throwing open the door, as I said in the meditation that we just did, throwing open the door to new knowledge, to new information, to new possibility. As I did this process with play, um, I I've become very impressed with again how much my innate belief in the power of play has guided my life. And I've been reflecting on why that is and why it's so powerful. Um, and it's maybe less obvious, but I'm discovering that we absolutely need play, that sense of play, also not just in our inquiry work, but in our meditation practice. And when I have this guided meditation template that I do with you guys, the ABCs. Step C, care. Connect to care. Connect to what you already care about. Just notice it. Notice what you care about. Um, I've been really struck this last week as I've been making play really central in my life, how much play does get me connected back to care when that place feels shut down and locked. Um, and I want to introduce this as one of the first things that makes play so important is that play is something we want to do. Why is play so important, right? One, yeah, that if play is what we choose to do when we're done with work, if we think of playtime, playtime could really be anything done with a certain sort of spirit. And how do we even know what we love if we don't make room in our lives for just being with joy? Play, what is play? What is play? What does play mean to you? To me, play is an attitude. It's a way of approaching things. Um, a way of approaching things in a way that says, I choose you. I want this, right? I choose this as an end in itself because it's enjoyable, not because I'm going to get a paycheck at the end, I'm going to get a big pat on the back. I might actually get those things through play, in a way. I'll make more sense of that in a moment. But the point is that we would do it just on its own, right? We call the things that we do in the spirit of play pastimes often. Right? It's how we pass the time. If we've got a little extra time, this is how we would like to spend it. And so play is this attitude and approach that is one that comes with an innate desire. Play also is a need. Play is a basic need, and anyone who's raised a child or an animal or pet knows this. Um, and just as my adult dog needs a lot of play, maybe not as much as when she was a puppy. I didn't have her as a puppy, but she certainly needs a ton of it still as an adult. Um, and so that's what something I've been considering too, is looking at, the example of these masters of play, children, animals, and recognizing what is it that they get out of that? What is so important about that? And do I still need that? So play is an attitude or an approach. It's a way of relating. Play is a need. Play is a basic innate need. I'm always interested in looking at what our basic innate needs are, right? Other ones, of course, include, the need for nourishment, for rest, shelter. For me, I have a need to study, to learn. Um, I need a sense of purpose. I need relationships of care and community. But to me, play is right there up with these other innate needs. And again, we wouldn't see them coming through masters such as children and animals if they weren't innate, natural, really basic biological needs. And what I've found with needs is they all have to happen in a balance, right? Self-care, as there's our kind of modern parlance for take care of your basic needs, do your self-care, right? But our self-care, of course, means, a good balance of rest and exercise, right? Self-care, it's not self-care if you're just working out all the time or working all the time or just exerting all the time. That's not good, right? But self-care is also not just lying in bed all the time because that's not going to feel good. Um, and the way that I see the way play kind of weaves in and out of these other things, it holds up these other basic needs, and they hold up play. Play happens within an environment, right? A kid gets to play because mom and dad created a safe space for them to play, or a teacher created a safe space for them to play. Um, and so that's also been helpful for me, looking at it as a need and how it fits in. And that's also helped me kind of consider how do I weave in play into my daily routines. If I don't get enough play, my dog doesn't get enough play, right? We can't actually rest well. We're not as hungry, right? Um, so play is an attitude, it's a need, it's it's an instinct, right? It's an instinct, and it's an energy. Another way of thinking about play is this playful energy. It's a kind of, yeah, it's an experience that when we let it into our lives, or we allow ourselves to tap into that energy that we already have inside of ourselves, um, brings a certain amount of balance to everything else that we're doing. I already said that one of the things that really, really excites me about play is that it is an end in and of itself. You know, my teacher in Nisargadatta says the enlightened man doesn't use anything, but sees everything as an end in itself, sees everything as being valuable and worthy to be here just because of what it is. Whereas the unenlightened man, the one who's trapped at the level of ego, is always seeing everything as an opportunity to gain, to win. And learning how to live my life in a way where what I'm doing just in and of itself feels good or has value right here, right now. That's learning how to be present. And that's learning how to love, actually, and respect whatever is present with us. At the same time, like I said before, we do get things out of play. So play, I've been trying to find things, and I you know, some of those of you who are live definitely know this, and some of you who are watching may or may not. Um, but I'm somebody who has struggled with depression in my life, and never so much as in the lead up to and in the couple of years after my divorce. And just my whole world got shaken up and shaken free, and I had a really hard time grabbing on to something that felt like me and that felt stable and that felt good. Um, and there have been times in the last few years, and to be totally honest with you, I went through a pretty deep dip in January of this year. In the last couple of months, I've had the thought I might not really be able to feel joy anymore. Not like I used to, you know? That has since been disproven. I have since January felt the same amount of, depth and breadth of joy that I have, that I felt when I was a little kid or at very joyful times in my life. So it's not true, but I have had these moments where it feels like maybe I'm just incapable of accessing that. And even desire, having a really hard time saying I want something, having a really hard time saying I'm excited about the future. I became a place that I went with it was becoming a workaholic. Didn't manage to make any money while I was doing this, but I would just work. I would just like get up and teach and then just work all day and trying to solve my online presence, and I don't know, like I would just work and work and work. And I didn't have anything that I was playing. I didn't have anything that was like, okay, Erin, you got to finish this work project because then you get to play. Then you get to go have fun. I couldn't figure out what was fun. And so I just sort of made my whole purpose this work thing. And I didn't you get a certain amount of joy and delight. And I realized that I made my work into a game in a way, which is partly why that happened. But what I'm saying is, um, part of the reason that I decided that this was going to be a big theme for me, my theme for the year overall of 2022 is collaboration, which I see as a kind of play. And there's been a lot that's been kind of sprouting forth from that intention setting. But yeah, like choosing to focus on play has been enormously healing for me. Um, Making serious work out of deciding what I like to play, and really finding ways to prioritize that has brought me has allowed me to throw open doors that before I saw as very shut. It's been this way of breaking through this like really small way of looking at things that I was trapped in. And I kept trying to work my way. You know, it's like once I work enough and I accomplish enough, then I can go play and enjoy myself. No, I didn't have access to it at all. I was never going to get there. I wasn't going to ever just work my way back to play. I had to prioritize play beforehand in order for play to sort of bust up that those walls, right? Getting stuck in the conscious mind. I needed to re-access again the unconscious because all the possibilities and all the joy and what might excite me was on the other side of that. Quite practically, play is also, of course, how we learn. This is how children learn. Um, it is innate and intuitive. And from the, the amount of education that I have about how to educate, and I've been doing a lot more education of children actually recently, which is something that I did a lot in the past anyway, and I'm coming back to it. And it's the research is really, really clear that we learn so much faster when we're in the play space. Um, we learn by repeating something over and over and over again until it's ingrained. But when we do that as a game, the time flies, and suddenly that skill is built. The new understanding is cemented in us, and we didn't even notice. And there was no resistance because we enjoyed it. And so this is also something that, so this play that is, it feels like it's an end in and of itself, actually takes us to the next level. It takes us exactly where we need to be. It breaks through exactly what's been our obstacles, whatever they may be. I mean, I give the example of this big obstacle of this depression and this way of thinking that was very small. Your obstacles are going to look different. But one really beautiful question to ask is how can I play through some of these obstacles, or at least make them less daunting through play, or um, see beyond them, or at least just get a damn break from them. But play does, it makes it throws open the doors, it throws open the walls, it helps us access what is here and possible, but that we decided somewhere in our very adult, responsible mind isn't practical or isn't possible. And then, meditation is the practice of letting everything be what it is. What are our obstacles to that? Okay, and how does play help us move through those? And you maybe are already connecting those dots. But for me, what I want more than anything else, the days when I feel like my spiritual practice is singing, it's flying, it is right where it needs to be. Those are the days when I show up to sit because it feels good as an end in itself. Not because I'm supposed to, not because it makes me a better person, not because of any of these sort of moral overlays that we put onto things. That's what a good person does. I show up for this the same way that my dog runs out the front door, to chase the squirrel or whatever she wants to do, or go bark at the neighbor's dog. Um, because this is what I do. I show up to this space to meditate because this is innate, it's my nature. And I'm not pushing through all this resistance to get there. And when I sit there, I'm not manifesting a lot of resistance. And not only does this enable us to actually show up and do it, um, not only does it make the whole thing feel a little easier, but it actually here throws open the possibility, the doors for touching that meditative state where this moment isn't being used to get us something in the next moment. Where this moment is what it is and it's okay just as it is. And I don't believe that there's any way to get there as long as we are attached to our resistance. As long as we feel like there's like a inner taskmaster, school teacher, whatever authority who's pushing the child to do a thing, there's always going to be some wise part of the child going, F this. You know, that inner wise child going, I'm the learning expert. I'm the play expert. I know how to do this. So stop forcing me. In the Tao Te Ching, there's the line, uh, no, now I can't remember the exact line, but it's the idea is that like the leader doesn't give the people anything to resist, and then there's no resistance. There's no need for stealing if there's enough for everyone. There's no need for crime. There's no need to oppose an authority who's following the people, who's giving what is needed. And so all of that inner resistance that we have to showing up to meditation, to doing our self-inquiry, to doing anything that we need to do, actually even our work, right? Could be, I propose, addressed by applying some of that spirit of play. I'm just going to read this other little line from the Tao Te Ching, from 68, the Tao Te Ching. All of the masters embody the virtue of non-competition. Not that they don't love to compete, but they do it in the spirit of play. In this, they are like children and in harmony with the Tao. And I'll give the longer quote to you guys along with this talk, but this idea that anyone who is really a master, who's working at their best, wants to meet in that spirit of play. And then we might compete in a way, right? We might go, okay, I'm going to, I don't know, meditate a little longer today, or I'm going to challenge myself, right? Like we do in January, to sit for 30 days. That's kind of a game, right? I'm going to engage myself, and I'm going to, and push myself, but I'm going to do it all in the spirit of play, in harmony, right? So we become like children in harmony with the Tao. And now the last thing that I want to address is what Pam wrote in before I started this talk. And yeah, she says, play is hard to surface today. The container does not feel right with the amount of sadness and harsh reality of today in our world. I feel a disconnect. Um, and and I'm so glad that you said that, Pam. And I have been thinking as I was preparing this about how to address the fact that, of course, there's a war happening right now. And that Russia has invaded Ukraine and is causing massive suffering, violence and disruption and just an enormous amount of fear. And it seems absolutely unjust, wrong, and horrible. And yes, it's very, very scary. The way that I look at it, these are not times to abandon what we love, but to recommit to what we love most. That we, I believe, have a responsibility to stay informed, to stay aware, to stay compassionate. For one thing, to recognize, somebody might not be able to get down with the theme of the month right at this moment. That's okay. That's okay. We can make room for that. Um, and this is always true with these, sort of positive themes of spiritual practice. But if I wrote down my top values, and I do believe at this point play would be in my top values, but my number two top are love and truth. And when I see violence, war, it is not the time to say, well, I guess love is bullshit. And because there is hatred and because there is war, love and peace and balance, we can't do that today. I wonder what would happen if we saw that as actually an invitation to the opposite, to say, oh, we need more love today. We need more peace today. Is there a way that I can manifest that? And can we manifest it in a way that isn't false or artificial or a denial of that truth, right? I didn't just say to Pam, oh, Pam, get over it. Just play, have fun, right? That would be really disingenuous. That would be a swiping away of a truth that she brings up that we're all feeling. But can we say, how can we continue to root back down into what we believe works? Because I know, so I know, just to wrap this up, I'll go back to my example of my depression, that being in those spaces, what was really happening is I was questioning my values. I was questioning the values that I share with all of you here. And I was going, maybe it's not really true. I was questioning, where are my teachers? I don't know if Nisargadatta is oddly not sitting right next to me, the book, but in those moments where I would say, I don't think I can get excited about the future anymore. The world is too messed up and people are too broken. I'm too broken. I was saying, I think that my teacher is wrong. I don't think life is the way that they described it. And saying, I think that person that admired that sunset the other night was wrong. I think that maybe the person who goes nuts over a beautiful poem or play or song Yeah, the truth is the world is messed up. And what I'm saying is that whatever your values are, whatever you really believe is true, whatever, when you hear it or see it, you go, yes. Make extra space and time for that when there is despair as much as you can. Give it some room, in here with all of the fear and the anger and the sadness. Don't shut out don't shut out joy and play and laughter. Let it know that it's welcome here, especially here. And let it know that it's not alone here. There's other stuff here too, and that it's all here to balance. None of these things are meant to, we're not just play. We're not. It's not the only important thing. We're so complicated. Um, but I do believe this. I believe in a sense, if we are going to move on to a world that is not obsessed with war and stealing land and resources from each other and from our earth, that kind of competition, right? Not done in the spirit of play, competition of mine, not yours. I win. Making the game into something as if it's real, as if you can win. If we're going to move on past that, we absolutely need to access our creativity, our imagination, our joy, our true nature, our innate sense. We need to get beyond this ego mind and its agendas. And I believe that play does that. I believe that valuing play gives us access to what we're going to need in order to creatively, collectively, collaboratively manifest something different than what we've been doing. And that we have work to do, absolutely, but we also have play to do. And if we cannot do it in the spirit of play, it's going to be a lot harder, it's going to take a lot longer. We're not going to be able to enjoy and appreciate life as we go, life as imperfect as it is. All right. That's my message for today. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I invite you to play along. And you can play along by just being with all of this and letting it all play around in your own conscious and unconscious spaces. But of course, also by sharing in some way in our village or with each other. I think it's next week. We've got uh, next week I'm out of town. It's my birthday week. And then the following Wednesday, we're gonna do some some group inquiry together. Yeah. Have a beautiful one. Thank you. Yeah, my birthday's the 19th, so we got a little time. It's a little over a week away, but next week I have a couple friends coming. We're all gonna meet in Austin to celebrate. But thank you. Yeah. So I will be seeing you all soon, and I can't wait to hear, see, experience whatever comes through for you this month, and so that we can all be inspiring each other and playing together.